Schrum, Administrator of the Lebanon County Mental Health Intellectual Disabilities Early Intervention Program.
And I'm Holly Leahy. I'm the Director of Mental Health Services for Lebanon County Mental Health Intellectual Disabilities Early Intervention Program.
And what we're here to do today is present the Lebanon County Human Services Plan for fiscal year 2017-18. This plan was put together by a group of county employees, which include myself, Jim Holtree from Children and Youth, Phyllis Holtree from Community Action Partnership, Jim Dunmore from Drug and Alcohol, Dawn Wolf from our office, who is Director of Intellectual Disabilities and Early Intervention Services, Sally Barry from Probation, Holly Leahy, Jocelyn Grassley, who's our CHIP coordinator, Janine Mauser, who's our CASP coordinator, Dennis Good, our Director of Fiscal Operations, and Kim Briggs, who's the supervisor of our children's unit. We do the plan annually to try and develop a roadmap for the programs and services we wish to provide within our means in Lebanon County for the 17-18 year. The plan, as it turns out, based on the instructions from the state, turns out to be primarily a mental health plan. It's a 76-page document, and I believe Holly has well over half of that. I think there were 40-some pages that show the services, the mental health services that we were seeking to provide. I don't know that there's any dramatic changes in this plan. We try to address the target groups, the priority populations that need to be served according to state regulations, and we try to identify any gaps in services. It's pretty much a flat budget time for us, as it has been for a number of years, so we're not looking to do much new without any new money. But maybe Holly wants to talk a little bit more about the mental health plan, or any thoughts you had about that area, since it's the biggest piece of the plan.
Well, really, it is the biggest piece just because SOS, the Office of Mental Health and Substance Abuse, requests so much in the guidelines for us to indicate in the plan. A lot of it was on housing this year. They had a large component on what we have available in the county and anything that we're currently developing. So they didn't give us any indication as to why they're asking for this additional information this year, but that does include a large component on housing. So that was pretty exciting for us because we do have some new housing programs in development and in implementation stages. So it was a good report for us.
And I believe the emphasis on housing goes along with the priority of serving people in the community as opposed to being an institution. So again, trying to beef up services in the community for people with serious mental illness. I don't know if there are any questions particularly about the plan itself or the components.
No, I don't know.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? Not all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So moved.
Thank you very much for your support. We do have a signature page for the commissioners. If I can pass that on. We do have another agenda item to discuss, and this is purely a discussion point of a project that we're considering for the future. We're not looking for approval at this time. It's just a discussion point so that we can talk to the commissioners and perhaps seek feedback from you as we move forward with our discussions. But this again has to do with community services, and back in January, the Office of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services asked counties within the Wernersville State Hospital catchment area to create CHIP projects. And CHIPs are, as you may know, are programs where we give up a bed at the state hospital, and in return for that we get a specific amount of money to serve that individual in the community, and that money comes on an annual basis, the same amount. We've done CHIPs in the past, but this comes as a result of Pennsylvania's need to create more forensic beds, and they're creating more forensic beds at Norristown State Hospital, and in order to free up the beds at Norristown, they're moving some people to Wernersville, so they have to free up beds at Wernersville, so they're asking the counties that...
What's our allocation now, Kevin?
We currently have 29 beds at Wernersville State Hospital. So they're looking and they're pushing hard for the counties in this group to accept some CHIPs.
Could you define forensic bed?
They're beds for people who have serious mental illness, but also have serious criminal histories and have significant sentences.
Thank you.
Sure. So the bottom line is they need to make beds at 30 beds at Wernersville State Hospital, so they're asking the counties to reduce their number of beds and accept the CHIP. We are looking at that very, very carefully. 29 beds is not a lot of beds, but we're thinking, how do we best serve the people in our community? And we're also concerned that if we do not accept CHIPs, we don't know whether or not they will simply take beds from the counties. So we're looking at a way to be proactive at this and make it work for our county. So when we looked at the population of individuals that we currently have at Wernersville State Hospital, there are a number of folks who are older and or have significant physical health needs as well. And we looked at other models in other counties, and there's a model of an enhanced personal care home that we thought maybe we could implement a small enhanced personal care home. Holly and Jocelyn Grassley did research into what the other ones look like, and our thought was if we did a 3-person CHIP, the state is offering $105,000 per CHIP, which would give us $315,000 to contract with a provider to run the enhanced personal care home. But in addition to the 3 people it serves, we could serve maybe 6 to 8 total people there. So we would really have an enhanced, we would enhance our ability to serve additional people beyond the 3. An enhanced personal care home, it serves individuals with serious mental illness and with co-occurring physical health needs. Again, we have a number of people that have been there in Wernersville for a long time who now need the physical care as well. As I mentioned, it would initially be for the 3 people coming from Wernersville State Hospital, but we're thinking the model we create could handle 6 to 8 people. The program would have 24/7 awake staff. There would be nursing staff support there to handle basic medical issues, first aid and medication management, and would also transport those individuals to doctor's appointments and dental appointments and things like that. As we look at the $105,000 per individual, we think that's low. We would, if we decide that this model would work for Lebanon County after further research, we would approach the state folks and say we think we need more to make this happen, because we certainly don't want to get in a situation where there's not enough money and then trying to figure out how to pay for that, and we don't want to come to the commissioners and ask them to subsidize that. We think this should be fully covered. And the only other, a concern that we had, number one, we'd be, again, eliminating 3 beds at Wernersville forever, for now and evermore. And then we also were concerned about the commitment to fully fund those dollars for now and forevermore. You'll recall there was a time 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when we had a 10% cut, and the CHIPs we had then were actually cut. And so we remain a little bit concerned that if there would be future budget cuts, would the CHIP dollars be cut? Because it was our understanding they were never to be cut. So those are kind of the basics of what we're thinking about. Holly, you can add more or maybe expand upon anything I said or correct any misstatements I may have made. But that's what we were looking at as a possibility as we do further research.
Yeah, sure.
No. Well, I was just going to congratulate both of you and everyone else involved in this, because as you began your presentation, a question came to mind for me. I was going to ask, what is your comfort level with this? And then you went on and you developed your own comfort level by exploring and coming up with a plan and everything. So, I didn't even get to ask my question. So I just think that it's outstanding that you've even gone beyond what was available to you and thinking ahead and how you could expand the usage of that amount of money to serve additional folks. So that's my comment.
Well, thank you.
Unfortunately, you didn't answer my question, which was not asked yet, but how many, is there a waiting list for these beds, or are they 29 a pretty good number for Lebanon County, or what's the situation with the waiting?
Generally, there's some waiting list. I have to give staff credit. They have we have a diversion team, and there are monthly
Yes.
diversion team meetings, and what they try to do is, essentially the way the system works, someone needs acute psychiatric care, they'll end up at a facility such as Phil Haven for short-term care. The hope is to stabilize the individual that they can return back to the community. After a period of time, if the individual's still not stabilized, the possibility exists they can go to an extended acute care bed. We have a couple of extended acute care beds that allow for a longer stay and allow for additional therapy and medication management, again, to try to stabilize the individual's situation. If that doesn't work, the diversion team is looking for other options. Is there a way we can serve them in the community with additional services, housing services,
Treatment services.
any type of treatment or therapy services. They look for ways to divert folks from going to the state hospital, and they're very, very good at it. So we've, although we've had waiting lists, we've managed them pretty well, and I think we have one on the waiting list as we speak. We went a couple months where we had 0, and I think we were the only county at Wernersville that had 0 on the waiting list. So over the years, we've, I think, honed our skills at trying to find other options for individuals as opposed to an immediate referral to the state hospital. So to answer your question, today we have a one-person waiting list.
It's not excessive.
And it does fluctuate. We've had 3, several months ago. And we're always looking to return, we're looking at the people that are in Wernersville, trying to return them to the community to free up beds as well.
Make an assumption here that many of these folks would be on Medicaid. Would there be a Medicaid payment in addition to the $105,000 or whatever you end up from the state, or is that?
They would probably get an SSDI check, I would think.
Or something.
Sure, they would still be receiving their Social Security income, and then that, most of that would go directly to the enhanced personal care home provider
Gotcha.
for their services,
Okay.
in addition to the 105. So it is, a pricey program to run, but that would then cover all of their expenses and all of their needs
Wow.
for them.
Okay. Thank you. Gordon.
One question, and I'm sorry if I missed this. Are you talking about installing a client into a facility that's existing with a private contractor, or are you talking about building something bricks and mortar, or?
No bricks and mortar. We would use an existing structure to create the
So it would be your program inside of an existing building?
Yes.
It wouldn't be taking that person to another facility somewhere.
No, correct.
And contracting, whoever you would find a contract to provide those services would do it in-house there.
Yes.
And typically, the provider would own the facility? Is that how
Yes.
you're seeing this one?
It's similar to other personal care.
But it's not like Fairweather Lodge where we own it.
Correct.
It's like the other group facilities that the provider owns.
That's correct.
Stays on
Yes.
the rolls and that sort of thing.
That's correct.
Since Wellspan, Philhaven has short-term beds, and would they, I would just wonder if they would be interested in, if there's a cost center opportunity that, a revenue center opportunity that would be local and they, you know, more seamless for somebody to go from the short to the, I don't know if they'd be interested in that.
We don't know. We haven't approached any providers about it because we're just in the exploration stages and wanted to talk to you folks about it before we went any further with it.
All right.
You know, it's a very, it's a challenging issue for us because we're trying to determine if we're gonna lose beds anyway, we might as well be proactive and get a program up and running that's gonna best serve the people in our community.
I don't even know if I should mention this, but we often have 20% vacancy rate at Renova, which is 5 beds at any given time. So that's, but that's institutional setting more so than what you're looking at.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but the enhanced personal care home model is such that it would be an actual home that
Right.
would be
In a
purchased.
more
So
neighborhood setting,
in more
yeah.
neighborhood setting, they would be integrated into the community. These are folks that have significant physical health needs, so, you know, they would be going out for their appointments and such and spending time around the home. But really making them part of the community versus a facility.
Okay.
But just getting those specialized needs within the home as well.
John?
Couple things at the outset. You've said the area that Wernersville Hospital serves. So what other counties are we talking about that are being asked to do this?
Berks, Lancaster, Lehi, Northampton, York, Adams, who that is?
I think you have all of them currently.
Correct.
Wow.
So with those 30 beds, that would bring in many other counties that are currently being served at Norristown State Hospital.
Okay. And what kind of timeline are you on with this? When do they want those beds available?
Yesterday. I don't think they've come up with an actual timeline that I've seen. You may have seen it because you were at a meeting.
They are hoping folks will be transitioned and things will happen by July of 2018. So they're looking at a year. I'm not sure if that's feasible with, you know, with everything that would need to happen, and it is 30 beds, so it would involve many projects by all the counties involved. So it's a very lofty goal, but that is definitely their goal.
Maybe the budget stuff will be resolved and you'll have a better opportunity of getting more than the 105,000.
We hope so. The Commonwealth is under pressure to make this happen because of a court decision, a court ruling that they had to make more forensic beds.
Jimmy?
Just to follow up a little on John's question about the other counties, was it equitable or did it in terms of the numbers of cuts in beds, or did it depend on the size of the counties or their caseload?
I'll give you my opinion if I'm wrong. I think they just went to each county. I mean, they were calling each county and saying, will you take beds? You need to take beds. And I don't think they actually broke down and said, we want X number from you and X number from you. They were just begging counties to take set chips.
But you're saying 3 would make sense with
Yeah,
doing something else that would make,
I mean, kind of in a real rough way, what I did was look at the total number of beds at Wernersville, look at what percentage ours is of the total, and then using the same percent for the number of beds. So, I mean, we have, I guess, about 10% of the beds there, roughly speaking, and we would be taking 10% of the chips. So that was fair and equitable. I think only one county actually signed on the dotted line and has applied for the chip. Was that Lehi?
Lehi, yes.
I remember your first reaction was to board up the windows and get some water and rations and say no forever.
Yes, yes. That often happens with me, and then reality sets in.
Gordy had
I'm
I
sorry.
just wanted to make sure I didn't misunderstand something, because you talked about several aspects, but you said that these clients had some serious mental health issues.
Yes, sir.
And then I'm a little unclear as to whether you also said with significant criminal histories. Did you say that?
The people for the forensic beds that
For
are
the
at
forensic.
Norristown, that Norristown is expanding their forensic beds for that population.
Okay, so those forensic beds you're not moving forensic beds here, these are, so, okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
No.
Does that make sense though, Gordy? They're
Sure,
making
no,
room to make-
exactly, but
Okay.
I'm glad I made that point.
Yes,
because-
absolutely not.
Because otherwise you'd be calling me tomorrow, or some other day.
Yeah, that's not what they're proposing. They're not integrating that type of a
Sure,
of a client.
and I didn't think so, I thought I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One,
They have serious mental illness, but it's not a criminal
Sure.
perspective.
the allocation, the 105, or whatever that ends up being, and when we did these chips prior, you said at one time it was cut, or was it proposed to be cut? Was it ultimately cut? It was ultimately.
When we had the 10% cut across the board,
It was everything.
it was pretty much everything, and it included chips, which was not what the promise was.
Right. But that never changes then. Once an amount is agreed to, that's a flat amount going forward in today's dollars. So 10 years from now, if it's 105 today, it's 105 then.
Years ago, I believe they used to do a chip cola,
Okay.
but I haven't seen that for a while.
All right. Which is why it's important to get a good number,
Snack food.
to get the right number now if you can.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right.
So I think the question is just, are they on the right track
Yeah.
and continue the exploration?
Okay.
Right.
That's all we're looking for is, again, just to bring it to the table as a discussion item, seek feedback from you folks as we proceed and ask our questions and so on, and sort of explore the nuts and bolts of this a little deeper. We don't want to go too far in the process or have something come out in the community that says we're doing this until we approached you folks and had a discussion with the commissioners.
And Fairweather Lodge is
Yeah.
your home stretch. I'd be curious.
Yes, I'm always nervous about saying in the home stretch because then, we had fire across the alley and all that. But the place looks very, very nice. They're just doing some odds and ends on the punch list. United Way, I think, provided 3 people to clean the place after, the renovations were done, which was very, very nice. The contractor is very eager to get moving. And there will be an open house at some point in the fall here, but we're about ready to go now. Got the weeds knocked down
Thank you. Kevin did that on his own.
with my putter. So yeah, it's really turned out nice. The building really turned out nice. We're very pleased with it. So I think it'll be a neat program once it's fully implemented.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time to have that discussion and your support on our human services plan.